I did turn it off.
It's okay, Pat. We'll make, we're okay. We're good.
Regional district's rubbing up on you.
It's still 7 o'clock. Are we ready to go?
Heather?
Heather? So I'd like to call the regular council meeting of Tuesday, June 25th to order. Respectfully acknowledging that this meeting has been held on the traditional territory of the Quabbin people. Gaelic Hudson. We have a late item of correspondence from Caitlin Hodnett, Director of Health for the Quabbin, for a letter of support for the Quabbin Food Hub project. And if that is amiable to everybody, I'd like that added onto the agenda.
Motion to approve as amended.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. We have the adoption of the special council meeting held June 11th, 2024 for adoption. Moved by Councillor Dugas, seconded by Councillor Dorwood. Any errors or omissions? All in favor? Carried. We have the minutes of the regular council meeting held June 11th, 2024 for adoption. Moved by Councillor Dugas, seconded by Councillor Smith. Any errors or omissions? All in favor? Carried. We have a delegation. Henry Gard from the Canada's Cruise Ship Pollution Policy. So welcome, and we'll let you take it away. Yeah, there we go.
There she is.
Yeah.
There we go. Thanks so much. Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to go ahead and share I have a little PowerPoint for y'all. And I'll just make sure you can see and hear me fine, and then I can present. All right. Can you see my screen okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. I'll just move this. Great. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. My name is Aneri. I'm a campaigner with Stand Earth. And like as it was introduced, today I'll be talking a little bit about Canada's cruise ship pollution policy. Transport Canada just renewed an interim order, which are temporary regulations outlining where and how much cruise ships can dump waste. So in a report that we just released this spring with our colleagues at CPAWS BC, we unfortunately found that southern resident killer whale habitat, critical shellfish bed, fisheries, coastal First Nations, and coastal municipalities are being impacted by this growing pollution source. So what you can see here is a map of the northern region of Vancouver Island, including where Port Hardy is with a pin in red on the top left. And as you can see in this analysis, it is an area where cruise ships can in fact discharge pollution if their tank size is inadequate. So if you can imagine, a cruise ship is leaving the port of Vancouver in the morning, coming up the Inside Passage through the Salish Sea and the Dawson Strait. And I'll get into this a little bit in more detail, but essentially where you see red, this is where discharge is actually permitted if the tank size of a cruise ship is inadequate. And a reminder that some of these cruise ships are carrying up to thousands of people. So there's a lot of waste being generated on these ships. So to give a little bit of context, since 2021, there have been record numbers of passengers coming to BC specifically for Alaska cruises. Many do travel along the Inside Passage, including past coastal municipalities like Port Hardy. And an economic analysis done in 2022 actually showed that the economic benefits of cruise ships actually are quite overinflated compared to other forms of tourism. And that was for the city of Victoria specifically. And the problem here is the pollution itself. And there are three main waste streams coming out of cruise ships. The first two are sewage and gray water, sewage being waste from toilets, gray water being waste from laundries, sinks, and kitchens. And both of these streams can lead to things like harmful algae blooms, introduce pathogens and microplastics into the environment, and are a serious concern to municipalities by degrading surrounding water quality. This may also impact fisheries, local flora and fauna, and tourism, and introduce a potential public health risk, especially in communities where swimming, beaches, water sports, stuff like that are quite popular. The final waste stream is called scrubber wastewater. This is due to an emissions cheat device that essentially turns air pollution into water pollution. And this rinses the toxins out as exhaust and transfers them into seawater. This essentially allows ships to continue burning cheaper, dirtier fuel and increases the risk of dirty oil spills. It is also the largest source of pollution being released by cruise ships. This water is generally highly acidic, so really concerning to wildlife and seafood, especially for crabs or other shell-forming organisms. And it contains toxins like heavy metals, contaminants that are increasingly showing up in the food web, for example, with Chinook salmon, and also with southern resident killer whales. And to reiterate, this is majority of the pollution coming out of cruise ships. Canada's policy on vessel waste has evolved slowly over time, and before 2020, most of these regulations were actually voluntary and not specific to cruise ships. This council may recall, but in 2022, UBCM passed a resolution to actually include scrubber wastewater in the province's coastal strategy. So this was passed, and it really helped remind Transport Canada that this issue continues to affect coastal municipalities. So to get into the actual interim order, that temporary regulation I told you about at first. So last year, the Minister of Transport published an interim order in June 2023. So it turned those voluntary measures into mandatory measures with fines. So it essentially stipulated that sewage and gray water could not be dumped within 3 nautical miles of shore, and that between 3 to 12 nautical miles from shore, they need to be treated to meet a fecal coliform count, a specific one of 14 per 100 milliliters. Unfortunately, it did not include scrubber wastewater. This was specifically for sewage and gray water. As I mentioned, scrubber wastewater is the largest pollution source, so that's quite concerning. This interim order was just renewed this month on June 10th with absolutely no changes made. And at first glance, the rules I mentioned before about not being able to dump waste within 3 nautical miles of shore and meeting a specific fecal coliform count, they seem at first glance in line with what the regulations are like in Alaska and Washington state. Unfortunately, some pretty major gaps emerged when we looked into this further, with some implications to coastal communities. So some of these exemptions look like essentially geographic exemptions based on an individual ship's tank storage and where onshore reception facilities are, and some geographic limitations that essentially create unregulated toilet bowls or donut holes in specific areas, including the Great Bear Sea, just north of Port Hardy. And to reiterate, scrubber wastewater was not included in this regulation. So at this point in time, cruise ships can continue to release scrubber wastewater unregulated through Canadian waters. So I'll come back to the map I showed you at first, just to give you an idea of what this geographic exemptions look like. So as I mentioned, one of those geographic exclusions is that ships can actually continue to dump sewage and gray water 3 nautical miles of shore. So that's this red zone here, or within shores that are 6 nautical miles apart, as is most of Johnston Strait along here. If the sewage and gray water is treated with what's called an MSD, or a marine sanitation device. Unfortunately, this technology is pretty outdated. There's no regulation around their upkeep, and they're largely ineffective. And of course, scrubber wastewater, the very toxic, acidic, heavy metal laden water, can be dumped in any of the waters shown here, including right in the Robson Bight Ecological Reserve and in killer whale critical habitat. So the continued use of scrubbers through these waters also increases the risk of oil spills because they are using heavy fuel oil. So as I mentioned, you can imagine a ship is coming through here, even if there are discharges permitted, for example, in this little green patch of water, water is still moving throughout this region. So even though technically this is where discharges are permitted, these narrow straits and fjords, the way that water is moving through them and wildlife is moving through them, is still quite concerning. So just to give you a little bit idea of what this looks like along the coast, this map on the left is zoomed out, and you can see in the light teal, this is the Great Bear Sea. red lines indicate cruise ship routes, and the white polygons are marine protected areas. So there are cruise ship routes going through marine protected areas, unfortunately. I won't go into too much detail, but essentially this is an overview of what our report covers. That was included in some of the links that should have been sent to you, but I'm happy to send this report to you to go over in more detail. But our analysis did reveal that in the Great Bear Sea, only about 12% of this proposed marine protected area is actually protected from sewage and gray water discharge, and none of it from scrubber water discharge right now. So based on these exemptions and what were found, we did provide some key recommendations to address these concerns and loopholes, with the focus on designating no discharge zones, especially within marine protected areas, prohibiting the use of scrubbers, and getting rid of some of these somewhat odd geographic exemptions that do allow gray water and sewage dumping so close to shore under certain conditions. We also would recommend a regular and independent third-party monitoring system. And this could be a job creation avenue within Canada's sustainable blue economy even. So just to come back from what this actually looks like for coastal municipalities, the problem is the pollution. Cruise ship pollution threatens the future of ecotourism and wilderness tourism, seafood and sustainable fisheries, iconic West Coast animals like killer whales, which we probably know people come from all over the world to come and see, and the health of coastal communities. So what we're asking from you today is a letter of support on this issue to the Minister of Transport. This is a way that municipalities can continue to advocate for their own environment, but also for the entire region and the Great Bear Sea and our ocean. So thanks so much. This is just a reminder that there is a report out there should you want to look into it more, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I also forgot to mention my colleague Anna Barford is also here with me and has been working on this campaign as well. So we're happy to both take questions from you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna Ray, and Anna in the background. Does anyone have any questions?
I just say that it's very enlightening, not knowing that this is going on. So thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's one of those things, especially in the ocean, it's out of sight, out of mind, but the growing amount of evidence that's coming out, especially around scrubber wastewater and how that's impacting sea life is really concerning. And unfortunately, Canada's lagging behind other states and countries that are taking note and starting to ban the use of scrubbers.
Yeah, my question was just where the term Great Bear Sea came from. I thought it was Queen Charlotte Sound.
Yeah, I think that term had come from the adjacent Great Bear rainforest and some of the work that had happened there. So it's sort of borrowed to represent the adjacent coastal waters. That's my understanding. Anna, do you have any insights?
I know Great Bear Sea is a term that is a bit broader of definition, so it includes that sound as well as Hecate Strait and some parts of North Vancouver Island as well. So it's actually sort of a bigger geographic area.
It must be a city thing.
We've never heard of it.
We've
No.
never heard of it.
Oh,
So we don't make any decisions, but we do take all of this very seriously and really appreciate your comments and your advocacy for the waters, and great report. And if you can send the links to our corporate officer, that would be great. And
absolutely.
does anyone else have any other questions?
No, so good.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. And I'd like to reiterate, thank you for your advocacy.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
You
Yeah,
too.
You too.
All right. So we have business arising, we have the council action item report of June 11th, 2024 for information. Any comments, any questions?
I'm just assuming there's no update on the ARC study.
I was just thinking the same
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
No,
No.
no, the only, if I
Yes,
Sorry,
please.
the only update that I can provide is that we had to resubmit the application because our archaeologist in the time that it has taken to get this permit has since retired. So if, I've been told it doesn't delay the situation, but that's basically the progress that has happened at this point.
Thank you.
Do you think asking our MLA to intervene again?
I think we're probably gonna get to that point. I have requested the estate of the lawyer who's in charge of the estate for Roger Lizzie to see if there's an opportunity to get an extension, and he is looking into that. He wasn't quite sure what the process would be. But we're kind of at this point where it's not in our control,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate because we have contractors that are standing by waiting.
And anxious to get going and. Okay, thank you.
Call you if they'd given us a letter of support for that.
Oh, yes, it's
Long
that-
time ago.
That's all been
Been
done.
done.
It's all with the art branch.
I can't believe it.
Norman. Did Norman just have her hand
Did you have your hand up, Noreen?
up? No. They were just reaching for your water, so. Bought an item at the auction.
Yeah, you just bought it.
Any other comments on the action item report? So then we have from Ken Larson and Dave Francilio regarding the mobile home park utility rate structure and service maintenance. And the request to council that the council consider a new fee structure for mobile home parks and that the district assume responsibility of utility lines up to the individual pads. I have had a chance to talk to our CAO about this, and I think we need to find out a bit more information and find out what's happening with other mobile parks in BC. And so my recommendation would be to refer it to staff for a more fulsome report.
I'll make that.
And I'll second
Any other?
I just want, yeah, I totally agree. I just wanted to make one comment with regards to when they brought it to us in a report, and it said that a fee structure, look at a fee structure, and then you've got and the responsibilities. I kind of took it that they was either that or we take it over, not and.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a both or a.
And
or a,
Yeah,
we're not really 100% sure.
I was sort of looking at it as they were looking at, well, if you're not gonna do this, then we want this, kind of an idea. But that was my understanding of that conversation, at least. Could have been wrong. They wanted it all, basically, but I think that, yeah, we need way more information to be able to make a decision.
I agree.
I was just going to comment when the delegation was here presenting. I feel like it was reiterated multiple times that they were looking for both further consideration for the fee structure, in addition to potential the municipality taking on some of the maintenance of the infrastructure going up to the individual paths for the mobile homes that are in that property.
They didn't.
I can review though the recording if there's further clarification needed on that, but that was my understanding based on what I thought was several pieces of it.
So there's a motion on the floor to refer it to the staff. Any other comments? All in favor? Carried, thank you.
I have to excuse myself for the next one.
If you'd like.
Yes, I would. Just that it's a trend and I don't want to see any influence on my decision.
So we have from Bassel Cost property owner regarding sewer utility service. And again, a request to council that the district assume the responsibility for the repairs and maintenance of the sewer infrastructure and the related expenses up to the property line to remediate and prevent further occurrences of sewer backup into the unit. And again, I've had a chance to talk to the CAO about this as well. And she has had an opportunity to talk to a lawyer about this. And it's still not settled. And so I would, again, give a bit more time and refer it to staff to do a report and more investigation into the situation. Councillor Robertson?
Sorry, I was just making a motion to refer to staff.
Okay,
I'll second.
second by Councillor Dorward. And
Oh, Councillor Robertson, can you hear me? Oh, hang on, I can't. What's going
Yes,
on?
I can hear you. It's just everything, all the images on my computer had frozen.
Yeah, apologies about that. We're trying to work through computer technical difficulty. So you're just on my laptop for now.
Okay,
And there
yeah.
was a motion on the floor. And so I was just recording everyone's vote on that.
I voted to refer. I moved, yeah.
Yeah.
yes, okay.
Okay. Okay. We're just working to bring you back on the screen. Okay.
Thank you.
See if I can help her.
Never seen that before. Yeah, well, we plugged in battery on the laptop. No. What happened? Just the battery, it wasn't plugged, so the battery died, so we just. Oh, again.
Can you?
Happens real quite often, or? No. Not plugged in, no, it just does nothing. It's been an hour.
That's why I'm sticking with my phone.
Is it the same charge cord? Oh, you bought it?
Yeah.
Look at that. Different phones. They can never. She said, well, I got that on my phone.
Should have been the council chambers.
What's that? Anything. Yeah. I like my age.
I know.
Do you need this guy too? No. Do you want this one?
I
can't. Mine isn't hardwired. Oh, okay.
Boot out and I gotta reboot.
Oh, you might be-
Oh, there we go. Something. Oh. I go online.
I'm gonna shut mine.
I told him, that great. This has got the kids program.
How many,
Moms and tots.
how many do you need? You know?
It's,
Is it still growing?
it's growing.
No.
Actually, yeah.
Trina, you make it all work for everybody. Late notice says, that's it, we're done. And Trina goes, oh, well, we probably can squeeze you in, so.
I'm doing
What is
my
it?
best. Mommy days.
Yeah, she left after the vendor.
I just hate people cause they.
I know what you're saying. I know, but good, you got that extra space.
I know, I'm like gonna use every single space I can, so I'm guessing 55.
Awesome.
Oh, awesome.
Not awesome for Dennis because Counselor Dukes for meeting.
So
We
are
call
you
it
got
Dennis on this side.
how big they're gonna be?
So.
Once I know that, then I
Like
can
the
figure.
corrugated plastic and then whatever maybe equally, what is that, 4 by 8? You pick up sheets of corrugated plastic.
Mhm, then you're just gonna cut them.
Yeah, however it works the most
Go.
efficiently.
Councillor
Robertson,
can you hear me?
I can. I can
I
can
guess it's
see
just a matter of putting the numbers on.
And then I
the
can
discussion
move that.
happening on the top left. Most of my screen is taken up with a blank
Maybe-
white screen and the
Maybe
Okay.
circle with your initials in it.
8.5 by M.
Okay, well, we'll get going.
Probably.
So under new business, we have the District of Port Hardy 2023 Statement of Financial Information. Our Director of Financial Services, there have any comments or?
I like that photo on the front.
Yes.
I'm trying to keep up with Heather.
Pretty fancy.
Last year was a bit too, this year I tried to change some of it to make it look like some of my reports, but yeah, it's ready to go and be uploaded, to sign off on a motion, and I'll upload it to onto the portal after some signatures tomorrow, hopefully.
Motion to approve?
Yeah, second.
All in favor?
Good job.
Thank you.
Yes.
No, it looks wonderful.
Looks great.
So thank you
Yeah.
very much.
For all the work, I feel like it should take more time from the council.
I know.
It's not representative.
Can we ask about 20,000 questions?
Yeah.
We went through this one.
So we have from the Government of Canada announces the transition from open net pen salmon aquaculture in BC. So we have a number of
I don't know.
press releases and statements. We have the District of Port Hardy letter to the Prime Minister.
Do we need to make a motion officially on the letter that we sent? I think we do.
I think we do, because we just did it on email,
We
right?
just did.
Okay, so may I have a motion to approve the District of Port Hardy letter to Prime Minister?
Made that motion.
Moved by Councillor Dugan, second by Councillor Tidbury. All in favor? Carried.
Made that official. Thank you for that letter. That was awesome.
Yes, it's
That
a
was
great
a-
letter.
Yeah.
Right to the point.
Yeah.
And,
I think it
Yes.
definitely made our point.
yeah, and, it'll come on the next, agenda, but we did receive a response that basically deferred it to the minister. Anyways, it'll be on the next one. So we have, under new business correspondence from the Director of the Quad of Health, Caitlin Hartnett, that referring a letter of support for the Quad Food Health Project, which sounds quite amazing, and, she has written to a number of different organizations for letters of support. And if we get that, it, would only benefit the whole North Island because it's very inclusive.
Absolutely.
I'll make a motion to it.
Second.
A letter of support.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Under correspondence, we have from the Bushido Shotokan Karate Do Academy Club regarding their National Karate Championship sponsorship. Thankful. Thank you. I couldn't get thankful. Thank you. So great letter of thanks, and I really appreciate when we get those letters back and we can see it, and it's nice to have pictures.
Yeah, the picture is kind of cool.
Yeah, very cool. So that was great. We have from the Honorable Rabbi Kohan regarding the small scale multi-unit housing requirements for information. Just so you know, we are ahead of the game on that, and it's all good. And I confirmed that with our CAO just to double check and make sure.
Just a question. Did we ask for an extension? No, we didn't need to? Awesome.
No, if I could, I think
Yes.
I prepared a report in May.
Yeah.
So we currently already have met the 3 minimum requirements for the multi-unit. We have, so then the next phase is the housing need report and incorporating that into the official community plan. And so that's already underway. We've engaged with McElhaney to get that work done for us. And so we'll be well ahead of the game. We're keeping on top of what we need to be kept on. So technically, we're in a much better position because council during the official community plan and zoning regulations back in 2013 was already
We took care.
looking at the 3 units per property. So
Perfect.
And so that ties into the next item on the housing and land use policy, the regulations for housing needs report and amenity cost charges. So our CAO already explained that and we're good, which is really nice.
And just to add to that, we are reviewing the amenity cost charges. Louisa is has been also sitting in as well, so we can put our heads to it as to what that's gonna look like. But we do know that there's more flexibility for us to be able to do that, which unlike DCCs, which were very prescriptive, DCCs are very open.
Any other comments or questions?
No, that's great.
Counselor Dorward?
Probably a little bit of a dumb question, but the amenity cost charges is like, okay, you have to build a playground because you're building this apartment building?
Yeah, or
Kind of thing,
you
a park.
to,
Put money
put
aside.
some funding towards a new fire hall. So for instance, if we were to look at, and, Norman and I had some conversation about this on the drive up today, but if we had 100-unit subdivision coming forward, so typically what happens is we end up with properties that come into town. And you get the one-off build, right? And that adds to the assessment. And then what that typically does is because that one-off build then might bring in, let's say, $500,000 worth of assessed value, it helps to reduce the cost of taxes for other individuals. But what amenity cost charges allow us to do is also to look at what the future implications of said development is and say, okay, you know what, if that 100-unit development goes in, it's going to mean we're going to need more firefighters. We're going to need a bigger fire hall. We might need bigger fire trucks. We might need a bigger library. We might need a bigger municipal hall because now we have more things going on. We're going to need some more snow clearing and things like that. So then you wouldn't want to go and say, oh, okay, just go ahead and build that. And then we don't raise taxation in order to ensure that we can also cover that, but also taking some funding from them to help cover the cost of the ongoing. So that we can actually get started up. So let's say it needs another snow vehicle in order to be able to keep on top of that. And so that's what amenity cost charges can give you the flexibility to be able to do is forward think as to what would happen. Similar to when we had maybe the whole meeting with Jay and the crew from VHP. And when you have like big industry that's coming to town, even if it isn't in your town, amenity cost charges are also things that you can look at too, because it's going to end up bringing more people to your community, putting strain on your services, et cetera. So you want to look at all of those and try to make sure that you've captured that in rather than just going, oh, hey, 100-unit development. And now we've got all this assessment, but we haven't actually foreshadowed what might happen with development, especially in a place like Hardy. That's a huge.
It's probably been a while since we've had any, I'm guessing.
Yes.
But you tie that in with the development cost charges too, because any increase in some areas, you have to increase your infrastructure to meet that area. So you might have to put in bigger water lines, sewer lines, and bigger wastewater treatment plant. All those things would add to the cost of that extra 100 units, right? So that's why that has to be in place. But we haven't used that for a long time either, development cost charges, have we?
Use DCCs, and DCCs are very prescriptive, so you can't have
Yeah.
you can't have more fluidity. You create a bylaw, you say, this is development cost charge, this is the only thing it's gonna be for, this is the only amount of money we're gonna collect from this. It's very prescriptive, whereas the ACCs give you more flexibility.
More flexibility.
You can detail exactly what it is that you wanna look at, and then negotiate with developers to ensure that you get the best opportunities.
But we're not be able to charge it for nonprofit housing is
Correct.
Okay, the next thing is, the OCP, how's that going?
Yeah, actually, I did a review with Ross Blackwell last week, actually, while I was in Victoria of the OCP. So it is pretty much done and complete. And then we'll put the housing needs report in there as well. So we're hoping that I'll be able to present that to the community consultative committee, hopefully in the next couple of months here.
Thank you. Counselor Clifford?
No, Janet, the same question for Janet.
Yeah, perfect.
Great. That's great. Thank you. All right. Pride, read the Pride in the Park event request and invitation to council.
Motion to approve.
Seconded by Counselor Dugas.
Yeah.
Counselor Tiffany, a question?
No, I'm fully supportive of this. So I don't know if you've been in Portman, but they have a Pride crosswalk out down there.
Also,
Yes.
in this motion, do we need to spell out all of the things that we always require for everybody doing this kind of thing, like insurance and whatever?
In this case, if I.
Yes,
sorry,
yeah.
In this case, it's a fairly innocuous event. It's not really a big, like, come to the park, da, da, da. They're gonna do a little bit of a walk down the sidewalk. There's no road closures, but they are actually to Kathy Wilson today, and they are planning on doing like a bit of a procession around town, and she'd asked if she needed to get permission from the district in order to do that. And I said, well, as long as you're following all the rules of the road and you're not asking us to close anything, technically, people can drive around and do whatever they
Yeah.
want, as long as you're not doing anything that will make the RCMP unhappy with the Motor Vehicle Act. And so she's like, well, we won't do anything. And I said, great, then you don't need to involve me at all. It's wonderful. If you would like us to promote that event, then you should probably come in and ask for, providing us with some insurance or something, but she doesn't want us to do any kind of promotion on that. And then because it's just similarly, we actually had Pride use the park, I think it was 2 years ago. And it was just basically the group was just using the park themselves. It wasn't a huge event. So if they were to now advertise it, then yes, it would require. Same thing, all the insurance and everything else, but it would be like you and your family go for a walk and a bunch of friends come with you and then you end up at the park.
Okay, I just want to make sure that it didn't need anything else in that motion after I made it.
However, I did want to just add one thing, and if I'm talking out of turn, you can correct me, but just to Councilor Tidbury's point about the pride sidewalks, or crosswalks, one of the hopes that I would like to see for up around here is that we incorporate some rainbow crosswalks into the sidewalk enhancement up here.
Nice.
That would be great.
Thank you.
So we'll get those costed.
Yeah. All right, all in favor of the motion? Thank you very much, and I'll have you know, I'm going to be a judge down in the park of the contestants or the participants, so it should be fun. All right, under staff reports, the finance department, May 2024, check and EFT listing report for information. Any comments? All in favor, or we don't, sorry. From our Director of Financial Services, the CP 2.25 Asset Retirement Obligations Policy. Oh, Director of Financial Services, do you want to talk about this?
The policy is pretty in-depth and is kind of now with our ARO and we're compliant with the audit. We need to have a policy in place to protect our assets and make sure that going forward, everybody's thinking about the ARO, the asset retirement obligations. So that, and I did have, just for information, the path to the ARO compliance in there. And that, if I can speak to that, maybe you can see that it took 15 months from when we started on the ARO. So it's, listening to it in the audit and going through it, I just felt that it'd be good to bring to council, mayor and council, like the amount of people that put time into getting us to that point and how many extra hours and days were put on to getting us to that, being compliant with the new regulation that came through. We had, pretty well everything went through, like we got staff involvement. Joe was in virtual meetings. Jason was in virtual meetings. I went through and counted all my emails and tried to get a good, so many minutes per email that it takes you, a lot of meetings with those guys. And then we started when we finally went from 287 assets down to, I think in the end, we had 15 or something, like it shows on the houses that we asked. The buildings, not houses, but the buildings that we asked Jason's expertise from being in the past, having a certificate for abatement testing. Would that be what you call it?
Asbestos and lead testing.
Yeah, so then when we were having our meetings and asked, can we piggyback off of a lot of different things? The school district gave us, rates. We got from the city of Campbell River, gave us information. Then they accepted Jason's history to be able to go out and take a look and give us some really good, information for us to be able to figure out how much it would be for each of those buildings. So Chad and Jason did, quite a few hours going into the buildings. Then, of course, the staff in the office, Heather, Louisa, Susan, all these people with this history in their head, you know, where am I gonna find this? Trying to find reports. So there was a lot of people involved to get us to the point where we got to have our audit and we're compliant. But just a good bit of information to let everybody know how we got there and that it was a real big team effort to have everybody help so much. And I'm very happy that we are compliant. And so having this policy now will be the last step for our ARO. And it'll be nice to have the whole thing finished and we just go forward looking at a new regulation that's within our audit.
Awesome, thank you.
Motion to approve the policy as presented.
Second by Councillor Tidbury. Any other comments, questions?
Good work.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. A huge amount of work from everyone involved.
Good.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I know we had to do it, but
Yeah.
it's nice that we've got Jason on staff that we can use his expertise and I know Chad's worked on a lot of asbestos abatement as well, so it's yes. Thank you.
It was very, very helpful.
Worked out.
Sure did.
So all in favor, oh, did we vote already?
No.
No, all in favor? Carried. We have no current bylaws or resolutions. We've got the pending bylaw continuing forward. Council reports. Councillor Robertson.
Thank you. I guess. So I just have two things, well, three. The library is in the process of establishing a budget that will come out to us in the fall, and we're hoping it will be less intrusive in terms of levies. But just a bit of an update. I suspect most have heard, but the Seawolf is on the blink. It went on the blink over the weekend. They tried to fix it in port. They were in Bella, I think, although it might have been Ocean Falls. They weren't able to. They won't be able. They limped into Port Hardy then after that, but had to leave people in various places up and down the coast. BC Ferries has tried to provide for that with water taxis and barges. But the assessment of the damage of the problem with the motor won't be done until tomorrow. And then it's a matter of trying to fix it. So the Seawolf is out of commission for a while. And it's not clear whether it's going to be a short or long fix. It's a challenge to be clear. And if we are going to meet, or if folks are going to meet with BC Ferries anywhere along the way, I suspect requesting that there have been challenges with the Seawolf all the way through, right from when they first purchased it to the renovation of it, that it would be great to see a purpose-built vessel applying that route on a regular basis and a little bit more dependable. As well with, sorry?
I'm
as well
wondering
with-
if, hang on a second, Councillor Robertson. I'm wondering if maybe we should write a letter to BC Ferries from our council expressing our extreme concern about it and asking for a purpose-built.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think it's still early stages and there's probably more information to be gathered. But can we put that as a notice of motion for next meeting? Or is that going to be too much of a challenge given next meeting could be who knows when?
Oh, we've got one in July,
July.
beginning of July.
Okay. Yeah. I just think we probably would do to get a little bit more information than that I have. That's the basic bones of it now. And my thoughts about a new purpose-built vessel. But yeah, I think that, I think that's a good idea.
Are we, do we have BC Ferries on the agenda for any UBCM meetings too? Maybe we could add to that as well.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure that BC Ferries goes to UBCM. That's the only thing.
Well, usually the
Yeah.
Crown corporations do.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be a ministerial meeting, but it would be with a Crown Corp.
Right,
Because we
like-
met with BC.
like
Hydro
BC
and
Hydro,
BC.
I think that's a good idea. The other issue is BC Ferries is trying to reorganize all the ferry advisory committees and trying to establish province-wide, coast-wide priority and action lists. We in the Northern Ferry Advisory Committee, because we've said that the routes are quite different than in the South, are asking BC Ferries and that we not be included in that process, that we establish our own priorities and actions. And so that's an ongoing discussion. One of the things that with the reorganizations, management used to be senior management used to be at all the ferry advisory committees, and that no longer seems to be the case. So there's going to be an extra level of insulation for senior management. So again, that's a stay tuned and see what happens with that. I don't know what you want to do with the letter, Pat.
We could wait till we find
We
out a
can
bit
wait,
more
yeah.
information
Okay.
and,
Just the only other thing I have is that the marine planning group that I am a part of is trying to establish priorities and actions. They've work in basically a 10-year cycle for the next 10 years. And they've sent out a document and asking for comments from people on the committee. My request is that, would people mind if I sent it around to them? Not asking for a lot of work, but if you have a quick look at it and anything jumps to mind, then you could just sort of send that back to me and I'll put it together. One of the challenges with the whole group is that it's the province that sits on it and First Nations. The First Nations are primarily Nanocolis First Nations and Nanocolis Council, which is doing amazing things and remarkable work. But no band from up here, from either Quatsino, Namgis, Kwagios, or Waslanakudau, are a part of of Nanocolis, and as a result, there's a bit of a gap there, I think, which I mention frequently. Anyway, I will try and send that around to folks tomorrow, and if you get a chance, just have a quick glance at it. If anything jumps to mind, please just forward it along to me. Thanks.
Councillor Dugas.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, the Ventus Marketing Group, we meet regularly once a month, and the big item that's on the plate right now is our fall ECDev forum that they're going to have in November, and we're just putting it all together now, and then you'll get a notification soon to be able to attend that. We're excited about that. North Island Seniors Housing Foundation, we're still working on seniors housing with BC Housing. I had the opportunity to go to the pool opening and watch two counselors and a mayor jump in the pool, which was awesome.
Dive.
Dive. Yes, form, 10 points there on that one. That was awesome. Flomy Days, we're still looking for volunteers, especially for the kids' events. Because you have to have supervision when they're doing the bouncy castles or whatever. So we would really like to see people come out and volunteer an hour or two on one of those days, on Saturday or Sunday. It would be awesome. Mount Washington Regional District meeting. Talked about a number of different things. They're still looking for people to work there. they have a few, more than a few. I think they got four vacancies right now, so we need to fill. So hopefully that'll be happening sooner than later. That'll be great. What else we got here? Yeah, we had a seaweed industry workshop on June 19th, which was actually pretty interesting. There's a lot more to the growing a kelp or seaweed than you can even imagine. There was a lot of information there. We had good representation from Indigenous nations, and so there was a lot of really good questions with regards to how it's going to impact the environment, how it interacts with marine life, and yeah, it was really good. And I think there's lots of opportunities there, but there's a lot of work that has to be done first before you actually build a farm. It's kind of interesting. They do it in a grid thing, and then they do these ropes, and they got little seedlings on them, and then they actually grow the seaweed on that, and then they harvest it from there. Yeah, it's quite a process. But there's a lot of questions with regards to where that's all gonna go. We know that we've got a very active wild harvesting of kelp in this area, which is really great. And according to all the information that we've got back from doing a partnership with University of Victoria with regards to how it's all being done. So to make sure that it doesn't have any negative impacts on what's happening ecologically in the environment that they're dealing with, and it's all coming out good. So yeah, there's a future there. But it's like everything else. You can harvest the kelp, but you gotta have market. So that's the other big thing. You know, we can provide the product, but you gotta have a market too. So, and that's hard to get.
The company that buys the kelp that makes the cosmetics, I can't recall the name of it.
La
right
Mer.
now. Yeah, La Mer. They had big signs in the duty free in Dublin, huge section.
Yeah.
Never seen it before. I don't know if I just didn't notice it before, but
Well,
interesting.
maybe because there's they get the kelp from here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was a huge,
See it.
like, you know, Dior and all those fancy
Yeah.
names. So they were up there, and
It's
so
pretty
I
cool.
find that they're buying it.
Yeah.
Apparently,
fine.
of course, I know.
Yeah. Anyways, that was kind of good. But anyways, that's all I got. Thanks, Mary.
Councillor Tipperary.
Not much of a report. I'm doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff right now and working on the opening of the pool, July 1st and stuff. And so it's basically, filming days and trying to get that going, just working for my transportation to pick up the fireworks and stuff like that. So it's all behind the scenes stuff.
Oh, thank you. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Mine too is super short. I had Bear Smart and Heritage meetings and they were both rescheduled.
Oh.
Okay, so that will be at a later date that I'll bring reports for that, but yeah, just going on the pool, how great is it to have it opening? Absolutely fantastic to jump in, have everyone there. And then I've been going into the early bird swims. So glad I drowned, but I'm there, I'm doing it, and I'll just get better from there. So it's wonderful to have it. I know I'm a very big swimmer, but I love it.
Thank you. Councillor Duckworth.
I have a game changing swim book. I
Oh,
can lend it to you. I brush up on it myself.
Carrie gave me a few tips. I'm not drowning.
Yeah, you're here. Okay.
From a four length without stopping to like 100 length without stopping.
Oh,
That's how
wow.
dramatic it
What?
is. So, but yeah, we'll tell you about that.
Oh,
Yeah, very dramatic. So yeah, me, I did not make the last council meeting because I was at the BC Santa Cruz AGM. And I know that you guys were there during the day and I stayed and it was great to have a presence. A lot obviously has happened since then. We saw the announcement from DFO and all the reactions there. But it was timely that we had at our committee of the whole, the close containment people. So that was interesting. It was
Yeah,
great to,
that's interesting.
yeah, they seemed really open about answering lots of questions and stuff. So I mean, costs a lot more in the hydro thing, but interesting to see where that all goes and it's very interesting. The biggest thing I took out of the AGM though was aquaculture is worthy of our support and worthy of the future. And so we're continuing to support them in that. I also attended the pool opening. Very, very awkward about being on the front page of the paper.
Yes. I'm glad it was from the shoulder.
If we think we look big on TV, look at us underwater.
Yeah, those fish always look big.
And then attended the Kyle Snow Memorial Skate Park redesign, or expansion redesign
Mhm.
last night at the Civic Center, and I've mentioned this again at our committee, the whole meeting, but the facilitator was great. The company seems very competent. It was a small attendance group, but a good diverse mix who seemed to be interested in the needs of the community and not just their own needs. And so, yeah, I feel really confident in their ability to come up with a design that will be good for the community. So, but we'll see what it looks like in a few weeks, because it sounds pretty expedited. So, which is also really cool, especially after our pool. Which I know is under control.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
Thank you. So I've been, I just want to give a shout out, I think, to, our Brian Texmo, who's not here, but as well, you were there too, I believe, at the, Davy Dean's Memorial Baseball Tournament and, how well attended it was. And that whole weekend was, all about recreation. So we had the baseball tournament, we had June soccer. That
Mhm.
was super well attended. The Loggers Memorial Golf Tournament, that was very well attended. And it all gives back to the community. And I thought with us as a council promoting recreation as much as we are, it's just a win for the whole North Island. And I too felt very awkward with diving into the pool. But I think what I've heard from people is, oh my gosh, how amazing that you did that and how cool it was. And everyone's smiles on everyone's faces and no one talked about fluffy bodies. You know, it was just like you did that and it was brought up at the RD from people too about the videos that the rec department produced and
Mhm.
it was just it's great to have our indoor pool back opened and I think everybody's happy and we're not hiding anything. That was a hard process to go through and it was a long, arduous process, but kudos from everyone on staff and on council that we stuck with it and we wanted the pool back open and we didn't give up because we could have called it quits a long time ago. We could have said, that's it, we're done. And we didn't. So I think, thank you very much to everybody involved in making that pool a reality again. And hopefully, we're not gonna be around when it starts leaking again.
Well, I won't be.
That's when I'm.
I'll be
hoping
leaving
to.
town.
Yeah.
How's the pool doing? It's leaking. Oh, see you later.
I'm out of here. I also want to mention about the BC ferries and there is a meeting tonight that I had to say I couldn't go to because the council meeting and had no idea about the Seawolf at that time, but it was all with the northern communities and coastal communities, so I'm sure every single person that's on that council or on that call will be talking to the BC rep about it, because it's taken a while to get a date where the majority of people, mayors and councilors and First Nations could go to, and so anyways. So it will be brought up, and once you find out more about it, then we can write a letter to BC Ferries. On the weekend was at the grad, my first grandchild graduated, so I don't normally go to both days. I usually go to the cap and gown, but I was there to present the award on behalf of the district to Emily Henschke, which was very, very nice. And I'll congratulate all the grads and give a little speech. And then at the walking ceremony, Counselor Texmo was asked to give the speech. Unfortunately, he was quite ill, so they read out his speech, but it was an awesome speech. And
He's really good.
yeah, no, it was very, very nice. Today I was at the wellness conference, which is today and tomorrow, and I would highly encourage people to drop by and have a look at what's going on. And so lots of presenters, lots of activities, and it's good to find out what's actually happening in the community and how good it is, or all the different things happening. And I had have coffee with the mayor, and every time more people come, bringing very diverse and interesting perspectives and different ideas. And then I bring them forward to our CAO, and some of them we can't do, but some of them we can do.
Mhm.
And so it's great.
Good.
And as well, I had an interview on CPAX radio a week or two ago about the 2 new doctors that are in town, and basically how it's going up here and how it's going. It's not much changing, except because we're down. We've only got
Nurses.
25% of, we've got 25% capacity of nurses, so we need more nurses, but hopefully things will improve.
Yeah.
We've got doctors and we've got more doctors coming, so that's good. And the doctors that are coming are working in the ER, and so hopefully it will get better. All right, so that's that. Under information, you can see we've got a lot of things happening.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just want to highlight our pool opening on June 30th. As well, I'd like to highlight property taxes and homeowner grant is, the due date is July 2nd. Really important to get that in. So they're all important dates, but those two are come to mind as probably top priority.
Mhm.
We have a notice of our in-camera meeting on Tuesday, July 9th at 5:15. And motion to adjourn. Not to do this.
First time.
Any questions pertaining? Yeah, usually it's Counselor Pickering.
Oh, yeah.
Any questions pertaining to the agenda? Yes.
With the wildfire risk reduction on the council action item report, you guys gonna respond back or it's a sign. I found out that, the gates required for the conservation service roll behind our place, Crown Land. There's a query with that, it's under your guys' jurisdiction, not the Ministry of Forest, for the gates. For gates to put on the Forest Service roads, it's in your jurisdiction, it's your guys' responsibility, not theirs. And your cost. So just thought I'd let you know that, that's what I found out,
Okay, thank you.
okay? So reduce the traffic of ATVs going up there and having a fire,
Mhm.
okay? Brought up 2 weeks ago,
Mhm.
yeah, okay? That's all I have to say.
Okay, thanks, Tammy. And that's nice. Is there one online?
Okay.
It's just Talita and Councilor Robertson.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
All right, well, thank you very much. And
Okay.
if I don't see you before, see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Have a
See you,
nice
folks.
long weekend.
Thanks.
See you, Fred. I hope you're feeling better.
I
Yeah,
will be on
thank
the
you.
west coast for.
Oh, will you? So you're not gonna call in?
I don't.
Okay. fine.
Satellite.
I might like look worse than at the pool.
Do they not have internet on that bad?
There actually is often internet sometimes it comes from the States.
Is that right?
There's
Oh, just the way it hooks
yeah,
around
you know, the
and stuff.
channel that.
Yeah,
goes to the
weird,
right.
eh?
Yeah, because the States, it's actually surprising how far up the US
Yeah.
comes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.